Okay.
I heard that.
All right. Yep, I heard it too. What's up, guys? Hope you guys are having an excellent Monday. Welcome to the Legacy Life Call. My name is David Fleming. For those of you guys that don't know me, I've been involved with this amazing company, the Alliance, for just a little bit over 2 years. And as I share my quick story, I was a part of a company for about 10 years. That's where I started my entrepreneur journey. A lot of us did, and we poured our heart and soul into that company. It was travel based. It was a networking company. I learned a lot, and in 2020 we had this thing called COVID, and since our product base was only travel, really that wiped our whole company out. And I was in a place in my life where I wasn't really mentally, I wasn't happy. I was like, I need to find something, because I just spent 10 years pouring into this company, and I just was not in a good place. I got two daughters, and every decision I make in life is based on what's best for them. And then a good friend of mine, Mr. Nick Greco, he actually started doing the insurance for a couple months before any of us, and he approached me, talked to me about it. There was an event in that area, or in Denver, I'm sorry, and he invited me to come meet the owner of the company, Mr. Andy Albright. And I remember I walked into the meeting, probably just with the ITC syndrome, like I'm too cool. But there's a saying out there, like, what's bigger, your ego or your bank account? And at the time I was like, you know what, I just need to check myself. I'm going to be surrounded with people that are probably successful at this. I should probably drop this ego a little bit. And when I walked into the dinner area, not only did I meet Andy Albright, but I also met the gentleman that we are going to have on this call. And he was sitting there just quiet. If you know Hutch, he likes to observe a little bit. He's a little quiet, but then he started kind of talking, sharing his story. Not only that, but he was part of the meeting, talked a little bit. But it wasn't until the ride home, I actually was very honored and privileged to give him a ride, to the airport. And that's where he just started dropping some wisdom on me on how this company has changed his life, because of his background. He was an electrician, I believe. And, how now he's able to be, he sells insurance, but he's basically like a full-time dad. If you see him and follow him on social media, he's always with his kids, traveling with them, and I wanted to give that to my daughters. That's why I became an entrepreneur, so I can not have to make decisions based off time and money. And, we're very grateful. And I think that we have probably the best teacher when it comes to insurance, selling, especially in the home products. We locked arms with Hutch, and he literally, helped us to build the agency where we are today, as far as our group, Legacy Life. And, he's always in the top as producer. I think I just checked the numbers year to date, and, he's done over, I believe, 170,000 in premium, probably more by the time I'm done talking, just because that's how quick he is. Also, Alaska, he's going to Alaska, and it's my first time actually going on one of these trips, and I'm looking forward to hanging out with him, Nick, and all the leaders of this group. But I can't tell you guys, pay attention to what Hutch is going to lay out, because he's going to talk about being in the home, being with the client, what products that we need to, start looking at once they start giving us some of the basic information. Once you start asking them these questions, what would they qualify for? What carrier they qualify with? And so I'm going to let him just kind of take over. If there's anything that, I know Rachel's on the call, that we need to add, we'll definitely chime a little bit, Mark, so that way we can, if there's questions that maybe some new agents have asked us. But basically, I know you're going to talk, man. I appreciate you being on this call. And I just want to let you know, man, I appreciate you for being there for us from the beginning and even till this day, man. Thank you so much, bro. I'll let you go ahead and take over.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you. To this day, I remember that car ride to the airport in Denver, and just hearing your story, and just just what you were wanting for you and your daughters. And just, I remember thinking, man, this is the kind of people that we're looking for. These are the kind of people that are out there that want an opportunity like this, and they're just too dang busy trying to grind and provide for their families and stay above bills. And I was just like, man, if somebody like this gets it, this dude's going to change his and his kids' lives. And dude, it's happening. You're coming to Alaska with us. You know, the trips are great. They really are. This is our, this will be my 11th all expense paid trip with the Alliance. And I'm talking going all over the world. But when you start taking your buddies and your teammates with you, man, that's where it gets crazy. It's one thing to go on a trip with all the NAA people because you won it, right? But when your team and your people and your buddies start winning the trips too, I think last year we had 5 different couples with us, and now this year we've already got 5 that have hit it, and there's another possible 5 to 7 more that are tracking. Um, that Alaskan boat, the Alliance people on the Alaskan boat, like Legacy Life is taking over that group on the boat. So I'm just telling you what, y'all don't want to miss it.
And you know how we party, man.
Oh man, yeah, we they have. Listen, I grew up in a real strict conservative Christian home, and I am forever grateful for that. I still hold a lot of those values, but man, I tell you one thing I missed on growing up in that home was how to party, but party with the good kind of people. So yeah, we do it right, that's for sure. Guys, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm a little messed up right now. Tomorrow, I am walking my 5-year-old daughter, my oldest daughter, into her school for kindergarten for the very first time, and I'm not gonna lie, I am not okay. It's I've known this day was coming for a couple years now, and I've always just thought, you know, yeah, but she's still, I got time, and it is here, and I can't think about it. But anyways, all right. So what we're doing in the home, especially for brand new agents, okay, your number one goal, your number one mindset, and I got to start talking about something else real quick. I'm just telling you. Your number one goal, your number one mindset has to be, hey, keep it simple. Keep it simple. You're there to meet a need. You're there to help these families. You've got to keep it simple. I'm an overthinker. I process stuff. I chew on it. I hit it from every angle. I analyze it. I tear it down and build it back up. I overthink way too much. And that was a default, or not a default. That was a fault of mine. I defaulted to that mindset when I first started running appointments and meeting with folks in the home. And I just remember, like, you know, in my mind, I'm just like, oh, I got to present them with everything. I got to show them all these options. I got to talk about all this. I got to make sure I understand this. And I found myself walking away with a lot of let us think about it, because I gave them so much verbal junk that they really had to think about it and process it all. And one of the things I was told early on was, hey, meet the need, keep it simple and meet the need. And so what I'm going to do here over these next few minutes, and if, you know, towards the end, if Rachel comes back on or Dave comes back on, is like, hey, can you, you know, expand on this for a little bit? Or we got a couple questions about this, we can handle that. Here's my mindset. When I'm in the home and I'm building the why, the rapport's there, the trust is there, that stuff we've talked about on other trainings. When I'm building the why and getting them to, hey, what was the primary concern, why you sent this card in? What were you looking for this to do? Go with, if they are somebody that is very confident in what they are looking for, then go meet that need. Don't in your mind try and think, you know, I know they want the $10,000 final expense burial policy at 78 years old. But they just did this awesome training on the product call last Thursday, and they were talking about IULs and tax-free retirement. And I think I've read enough on that or heard enough about it where let me talk to them about that first and see if they still want the $10,000 final expense plan. You'd be foolish to do that, right? They want a $10,000 final expense plan. Focus on that. Get it for them. That's what they need. That's what they want. If you don't do that and you overload them with all this other information, then they're going to tell you they need to think about it. And the next person that comes along is going to be like, oh, you want 10,000 final expense? Yep. This company right here will give it to you for $48 a month. Cool. Sign me up. Keep it simple. Meet the need. That needs to be your focus when you go in the home. Now, I know where you're already going with this. You're already thinking, wait, Mark, you know, that's great if they know what they want. But a lot of the clients I sit with, they don't know what they want. They just know they need life insurance, and they're looking at me to be the expert and the guide and help them get what they need and help point that out to them and lead them to that. So what do I do there? Great question. If they are not confident in what they need, or as you're building the why, they know they need to have something to cover burial expenses. Let's just say they're like, well, I need to get put in the ground. I need my mortgage paid off. I need, you know, I want to leave a little something if possible. Like, what are my options? Okay. Now we know, hey, they're not just one track pony, need 10,000, 15,000 final expense and they're good. So how do you find, or upon hearing that, how do you lead them into getting the product that's going to be best for them and their family, that's going to fit their budget, and more importantly, is going to get them to move and act on it today while you're there with them? Because as we know, if you've run any number of appointments, when you walk out of a home without a check, guess what? Oh, they have my business card. Your business card went in the trash the moment you walked out the door. No, it didn't. It went in the drawer with all the other ones. Right. And eventually it's going to end up in the trash. If you don't take care of that right then and there, chances are extremely slim that you're coming back to finish the deal, close the deal. Right. So we got to make sure that the information that we give them is clear, succinct, and concise, and it moves them to act. So your job is to find out what they are looking for. We talked about building that why. We've done extensive training on that. But now that you know, hey, if they know this is final expense and they need, or they're looking for mortgage protection, keep it simple, meet the need. This person doesn't know. They just know they need coverage and they're looking to you to help them find what's best. Here's my general rule of thumb on what I'm going to tell you for these next several situations. There are going to be some slight deviations or exceptions from time to time, but here's the general rule of thumb that I'm processing from start to finish. When I go sit in a home with somebody, let's just say they're under the age of 60, okay, 60 and younger, you might could even creep it up to 62, and you'll understand that here why in a minute. But typically it's age 60 or younger. If the client is just like, I need coverage, I've got a lot of stuff I need to handle and taken care of, and I just need to get coverage, ideally as much coverage as possible as I can afford. What are my options? I'm thinking non-medical term to start them out with. Okay. Now, again, this is assuming that, you know, as you've talked to them, as you're building the rapport, the connection, the building the why, they've said they need coverage. Maybe you've found out what their medical history is like, maybe not. If you're thinking, hey, I'm going to think term because they're under the age of 60, but I haven't gone through the medical stuff yet, I haven't looked at their prescriptions, I haven't asked about any diagnosis, then you need to do that first. Okay. You need to find out their medical background, medical history, current prescriptions, current diagnosis, recent prescriptions, recent diagnosis. You need to find all that out first. The green sheet helps with that. But you need to find all that first before you start wasting time talking about some products they may not even be potentially eligible for. I'm not going to go talk about how the term product is going to give them more coverage for a cheaper price. It does have a term on it, but there's conversion options. I'm not talking about any of that if I don't know what their medical situation is like. Because if your 59-year-old client just had a heart attack 2.5 years ago, he's not going to qualify for a large non-medical term policy or a big, universal life product or a big whole. He's not going to qualify for that. His option, short of going fully underwritten, which we don't like it very much. There's the reason why fully underwritten is called FU, because people get screwed over trying to apply. They don't get the rates they were quoted by some agent. They get, y'all know the deal. We focus on the non-med products. So if somebody has just had a major health event or is on a medication that's a significant medication, and they're not going to qualify for a term or a big universal life or anything like that, I'm not even talking about that. So I need to know their medical history first. And we're going to assume in this initial, what we're talking about here, we're going to assume that this 59-year-old guy is pretty healthy. He might be on a maintenance med or two, a little cholesterol, a little acid reflux as needed. Like, we're not talking, blood thinners and diabetes and all this kind of crazy stuff. Okay. We're going to assume that this guy's fairly healthy. You've already figured that out in the medical part of it. You've already found out, oh, he's on a little or cholesterol pill, blood pressure pill, acid reflux medicine. He's just got a couple maintenance meds. He's good, right? I'm going to show him how term coverage, non-medical term, is going to give him more coverage at a cheaper price. What it's going to do is it's going to allow him to have a lot more death benefit for the premium that he's paying. So if he's got, if let's just say he's got $150 to put towards insurance, that $150 in a term policy is going to get him a lot more coverage than it would in a small final expense whole life policy. Okay, they're way different types of products. So this guy wants as much coverage as possible. I'm going to start out with a term product, and I'm going to explain to him, hey, Bill, This term product, it's a 15-year term, it's a 20-year term, whatever. It's going to give you more coverage over the next few years while you still likely have debt that you're paying off. You still owe on your mortgage. Yep. Okay. So this will help go towards helping with the mortgage, plus putting you in the ground, plus leaving money behind for your wife so that she's able to cover all those bills, right? If he's not sure what he wants, he's looking for life insurance and doesn't know what to do, and he's 59 and healthy, I'm not trying to quote him a $15,000 Royal Neighbors final expense policy or a $15,000, Colombian Life, dignified choice final expense policy. He's likely eligible for more options in good health. So I'm going to start him out with a term policy, and I'm going to explain to him that this term policy is cheaper for more coverage because it's a term period. If he dies during that time, it pays out. But if he outlives it, they don't owe him anything. And that's why it's cheaper, because he has to die in that window. But Bill, here's the deal. We're not going to keep it just for this window and then let you be 20 years old or 79 years old and not have any life insurance. That's not how this works. This term policy is convertible. What that means is at any point in time after the next couple years of having this policy, we can turn it into a permanent policy, and they're not going to ask you a single health question. It doesn't matter if anything has changed to your health. So what this does, Bill, by getting this term now, it gives you more coverage up front for a cheaper price. And it guarantees that you are insurable for the rest of your life. You will always have the option to carry insurance for the rest of your life by doing this now. Now, who doesn't want that? Who doesn't think that's a great idea? If I sign up now with Mark, if I sign up with Dave, with Panda, with Rachel, with Nick, if I sign up with them now, with Aaron, I'm covered for the rest of my life, or have the ability to be covered for the rest of my life. That's incredible. There's a lot of term products out there that don't convert. A couple of our term products right now don't convert, but the main ones that we have, Foresters, Colombian Life, Mutual of Omaha, Prosperity Life, those term products, Transamerica, they convert to permanent products. So your client has that peace of mind knowing my health can go to crap tomorrow, and I'll still have the ability to be covered for the rest of my life. My wife will always be taken care of. My kids will always be taken care of. That's important. And I let them know that. You say, well, Mark, what if he's 59 years old and he's just looking for, like $25,000 to put him into the ground so his wife doesn't have to draw retirement or take their retirement income and use that to bury him? Well, what if that's the case? Keep it simple and meet the need. If that's what he wants, and I found that out in building the why, I'm not talking about term. I'm not saying, Bill, if you check this, this 250 thou out over here, it's only $199.95 a month, and I'm not doing that. If he wants a $20,000 policy and he's made it clear, like he's just looking for something to put him in the ground, I'm getting that taken care of. I'm still doing the ERS. I'm still getting referrals. I'm still doing everything else we do. I'm finding safe money. I'm talking about annuities as I find the safe money. I'm still doing all that. But in the beginning, especially as a brand new agent, my focus is to keep it simple and meet the need. Okay. So if he wanted 20,000 final expense, I've already got him 25,000 final expense. I found some safe money. I bam-fammed him, booked a meeting from a meeting, and I'm out the door. Right. But in this case, our guy, Bill, 59, he's not exactly sure what he could qualify for. He just wants to get as much coverage because he's got a lot of debt right now, and that's his focus. So I'm starting out with a term policy. He can cover more debt for a smaller amount of premium and have the option to be covered for the rest of his life. Now, let's say that's kind of what you're thinking about Bill. Hey, he looks like he's going to qualify for this policy. He looks fit. He's in shape, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to talk to him about term in a minute. And I'm going over his medicines and his health history. And oh crap, Bill had a heart attack 2.5 years ago at 57. So he had a heart attack. He's not going to qualify for a $200,000, $250,000, $150,000 term policy. He's just not going to qualify for it. It's not going to happen. So his only options at that point are final expense, because remember, we're not doing fully underwritten FU. There's going to be a couple scenarios where, hey, maybe we have to look at that. But for the purpose of this call and people hearing me, that's not what we're worried about. So my options at that point are, I've got some whole life policies and here's what you don't do. Well, Bill, gosh darn it, if you didn't have that heart attack 2 years ago, man, we could have gotten you this $150,000-$200,000 policy, but man, that heart attack just bumps you right out. So I got this little $15,000 policy, and most people are going to use it for final expenses. But you can qualify for this, no problem, man. We're going to get you. You don't sit there and just make, oh, here's the little $15,000 policy. Here's what you have to show Bill. Let's say Bill still has a $120,000 mortgage. You know, that's what he still owes on his home. His mortgage payment is, let's just say it's $1,000 a month. Okay. I'm going to show Bill. I'm like, Bill, listen, here's the deal, man. I'm extremely thankful and grateful that you're still here, because I know people that have had heart attacks and they're not with us anymore. So the fact that you're still here, man, you're doing awesome. If God forbid I ever have a heart attack in my life, I hope I'm looking as good as you do just barely 2 years later. Like, I am building him up. I am edifying him. I am congratulating him. I'm praising him. I'm making him feel good about himself. Am I being fake? No, I'm extremely grateful that he's here. His wife's grateful. He's grateful. I'm grateful. I don't have a chance to help them if he's not here. Right. So I'm not blowing smoke. I'm being genuine, but I'm letting him know that it's important that I'm recognizing that he's here. He's doing well. He looks great. And he's feeling good about himself now that, yeah, damn right. 2 years into this, I am doing pretty good, you know? And then I'm showing him, I'm saying, listen, man, here's the deal. Unfortunately, the insurance companies won't let me write you based off of how good you look right now after having had a heart attack. Like, I hate that. I hate it for you that I can't write you a policy based off of how good you look, because, man, you look pretty damn good right now after having a heart attack 2 years ago. The insurance carriers are going based off statistics, man. They're going based off of risk. And so when they see a 57-year-old guy having had a heart attack, in their minds, they're like, he's kind of young to have had a heart attack. And is he going to have one again sooner than later? Maybe he won't, but his heart's already had some sort of traumatic event. So now they're thinking, hey, is this guy going to live as long as most normal dudes live? And in their minds, they're saying statistics aren't that good. So here's the deal. These carriers, they're not going to go out and say, hey, Bill's our guy for 150,000. They're not right now. Okay. Give it when you're a few years removed from the heart attack, man, we can definitely revisit this. But the fact that it's been within the last 2-3 years, they're just not going to do it. It doesn't mean you can only get this small little amount over here. I can pull from several different companies and get you the coverage that you're looking for. And we're going to get you as much coverage that fits your budget to make sure that your wife's protected. So here's what I mean by that. We're going to look at some numbers here. I'm going to show you some options for, let's say, 50,000. I'm going to show you some options for 25,000. And you're like, well, that may not sound like a lot, Bill, but here's what this does. If your budget allows it and we get you qualified for 50,000, that means that for 50 months, that's over 4 years, your wife does not have to worry at all about one mortgage payment, because you've left her with enough resources to cover the mortgage payment for the next 4+ years. What that means, Bill, is the day you pass away on her, and God willing, it's not for a long, long time. Hopefully it's way down the road. But the day that happens, the money that you leave behind for her by taking care of her tonight is going to ensure that for the next 4+ years after that, she can focus on celebrating her time with you. She can focus on the legacy you left her. She can focus on the life you gave her. She can focus on your memories. She can focus on your kids and your grandkids that y'all brought in this world together. She can do all of that and not have to worry once about, what do I do now with the home because Bill's gone and I'm not able to make this work. That's what this is going to do for her. And you tell them what it does, not what it is. When you're in salesman mode, this little $50,000 policy, 20 here, 30 here, we'll get you right in the ground and leave her a little something left behind, you know. You're not telling them what it is, you're telling them what it does. It's going to provide her over 4 years of mortgage payments to make sure that her family is taken care of, to make sure that she can properly grieve, that she can take the time that she needs to adjust to life without you. That's what this is going to do for her. Because the alternative is, if we don't have this in place, now she's pulling from your savings, she's pulling from your retirement account, she's pulling from every resource possible, if there is any of that, just to keep the same home that you and her have all those memories in. And she's going to have to do it quick, because if she doesn't have the money there, to sustain and maintain it, guess who's having to throw the home up for sale, and she doesn't even have time to grieve and focus on life without you, and how she's going to survive and just properly adjust. She doesn't have time for that. She's having to make rash decisions, and when you make rash decisions, you get taken advantage of. You don't have the time to sit there and properly figure out how much is the property worth, the house worth, like, who can come and appraise it for me, who can list it for me, she doesn't have time for all that. She's having to make snap decisions on what's quick, what's available in the moment, because she's feeling financial pressure. And all this time she should be able to just focus on the fact that Bill's not here, and just learn how to gradually process that and adjust to life without him, and reflect on all the good times they had together. That's the difference between somebody having coverage in place that's going to protect their wife that they leave behind, or their spouse that they leave behind. That's the difference between that happening and somebody having to make snap decisions, maybe move away, or maybe move in with the kids and grandkids because mom couldn't keep the house anymore. And she couldn't get the equity, very much equity out of it, because she had to sell it for a low ball price, because she had to make a decision right then and there. This is the kind of stuff that you need your clients to understand the reality of what this looks like. Yes, we would have loved to have gotten him $150,000, $200,000 term. Would have loved to have had the mortgage covered when he died, but he had a heart attack 2 years ago. No insurance company is going to just throw that kind of money out there at risk and say, yep, give us 150, 200 a month, and we're on the hook for that. Nobody's going to do that. So that's why it's important to understand the medical background, the medical history of your clients. After you've built the rapport and connected with them, and they trust you, and you've started to build the why to figure out why they're moving on this, why they want something in place, then you got to find out the medical background, the medical history. So then you kind of know, hey, can we go term? Can we look at a lot more coverage? Or do we have to focus on some final expense stuff? And we're not even wasting time talking about something they can't even have. And I'll even use this example. I'll say, hey, look, I would love to have showed up in your house in a 2023 bright cherry red Chevrolet Corvette. I would have loved to have showed up in your house with that. Driven right up, sitting there flashing in your driveway, just glowing red. I would have loved that. But guess what? That's just not something that I can afford right now. This is what I tell clients. This is exactly how I talk to them. That's just not something I can afford right now. But guess what? You see that 2016 Lexus ES350 out there? That car is 7 years old. It is 7 years old. I keep it nice. I keep it clean. I take care of it. It's got 135,000 miles on it. But guess what? It does the job. It gets me from point A to point B. I don't sit there and say, you know what? Until I can have a 2023 bright red cherry Corvette, Chevrolet Corvette, I ain't going nowhere. I ain't doing nothing until I can have my favorite car. I don't do that. Why? Because rationale says you're stupid. So what do? I still utilize what gets me from point A to point B, what accomplishes the job, what meets the need, what fulfills the purpose, even if it's not what I want in that moment or what I wish I could have or would love to have. And that's what you have to help your clients see. I know you want $1.5 million in coverage for $32 a month. I know you do. Guess what? You can't have it. Nothing against you. You just can't have it. It doesn't exist for you. So that's where you have to help them see, hey, I still need to have something in place that's going to take care of all this, or that's going to meet the need, at least in the interim. I've got to have something, even if I can't have everything I want right now. And always throw it to them that, hey, listen, we'll revisit this in the next year or two. We'll look at options again. I'm not slinging an application and disappearing where you never see me again. That's what a salesperson does. You're not a salesperson. You're there to meet a need. You're there to help that family, and you're there to be their agent for life. That's what you're there for. And obviously you're not saying that to them, but the way you treat them, the way you talk to them, the way you care about them, that shows and tells them that, hey, this person's different from everybody we've ever talked about as far as life insurance goes. I hope y'all are tracking with me here, because when people know that and they sense that and they feel that, they will follow you. We're humans. We're like sheep. The Bible says it. God himself said we are like sheep. We just go and stray away, and we just follow. Oh, there's a whole bunch of little fur balls. Let's go after them. Cotton balls. Let's go. And we just follow each other around everywhere. Why? Well, we don't got to think. We just, oh, there goes everybody. Let's go. Here we go. And that's what we do. We're human beings. You ever come up on an accident and you see somebody just like, screw this, I ain't sitting in this line, and they go down a side road, Next thing you know, somebody else like, well, there must be a way out of here. So he follows him. And then what do you know? Just like a bunch of darn ants, they're just walking or zooming, zip down the side road, and everybody's, where we go? I don't know, but this person acts like they know. So I'm going, right? We just want to be led. We're human beings. Speaker gets up on stage. Everybody stand up and clap. Everybody gets up and clap. Well, he said, I don't know. He said to, right? We're humans. We want to be led. But guess what? If I get up on stage, I'm like, hello, everybody. Hi. Would y'all do me a favor and just everybody stand up and do a little clap? Can you? No. But if I get up and say, everybody, let's go. Hey, stand up, put your hands together. Let's clap. Why? Because I'm confident. I look like I know what I'm doing. I don't know why he wants us to get up and clap, but he said to, and he sounds pretty. That's the kind of mentality you got to have in the home, that these people are like sheep just looking at you like, tell us what to do. Where to go? That's the mentality that you got to have. Hey, these people are looking to me. And guess what? You ain't got to know it all. You don't. Here's what you do need to know. They die, it pays. They die, it pays. Keep it simple, meet the need. That has to be your mentality and your focus. And if you can just, next time you're in that appointment, just visualize like just me staring at this screen like a damn sheep with a big cotton ball furry head, just looking at you like, where do I go? What do I do? Visualize that like your client sitting there blinking. You'll feel a lot more, hopefully lighthearted, but you'll feel a lot more confident. Like, hey, I got this. Keep it simple, meet the need. I'm the expert. I ain't got to know everything. I'm going to learn more and more the more I do this. But I've got the best resources. I've got the best training. I've got the best team. I've got the best leaders. Like, we're going to make sure that these clients have what they need before I leave here today. And here's what I would say to this, and you can get mad at me all you want, but hear me loud and clear. If you're a new agent and you're going into these appointments, and I get the nerves, I get the tension, I get the anxiety, I get the whatever you want to call it. I get it. It's new. It's different. You're not sure what to expect. There's going to be some apprehension. I don't care if it's your first appointment or your 21st appointment. If you're still fairly new with us and you're going in these homes, and because of those nerves or whatever, and you're not reaching out to your upline or to your growing upline or to one of us as the leaders on the team, you're not reaching out to us and asking for help and calling us from the home. You're just getting back up and walking out of there because they didn't feel confident in you, because you weren't confident in you, and they just want to think about it and they're never going to call you back. You're making a huge mistake. If you don't know what else to do, call one of us. Call your upline, call your leaders, call Panda, call Rachel, call Aaron, call me, call Mike, call Nick. Like, there's way too many of us that have half a brain to know what's going on with everything that you need help with as a brand new agent. There's way too many of us that have the resources and the knowledge and ability for you, that if you can't pick up the phone call and call us, that's on you. And your client not being covered that night or that day, that's on you too. If you pick up the phone and you call us and we walk you through and we do our damnedest to try and help you help that client, and they still don't do it, you're off the hook. Okay. You're off the hook. But if you don't pick up the phone and reach out to one of us because you're nervous, you're scared, you got anxiety, whatever, with as much love as I can muster, please understand, like, that's on you. And it doesn't make you a bad person. Just learn from it. Okay. Just learn from it and just know, hey, when that person's looking at you and you got that deer in the headlights look, like, oh crap, I'm just frozen, I'm not sure what to do. Remember, keep it simple, meet the need. If nothing else, get something small in place to help them. A final expense policy is small enough to where it'll still help put them in the ground at worst, or burn them, whatever it needs to do, and still have some money left over to help cover the mortgage payments for a little bit. Let me tell you this, we have almost 40 carriers that we represent, almost 40. The least carrier that we have, or the carrier that we have that has the least amount of products available, is like 3 or 4 products. What that means is every other carrier has at least 3 or 4, most of them dozens of products available that we have to write these clients. So my point being is, we have hundreds of products available, and guess what? Every single one of them is great. Every single product that we have is great. Well, yeah, but my first time I wrote a policy, it was like a $5,000 policy because he was talking about cremation, and that's what I sold him. And then I realized later he was eligible for an IUL. I failed my guy. No, you didn't fail him. You got him a policy. You kept it simple. You got him covered. If God forbid something to happen to him, his wife, his family has something. They don't have to set up GoFundMe. They have something in place. It's good. And guess what? Because you're doing the system right, and because you're learning, and because you're plugging in and you're growing, a few months later, a year later, you can call them back up and say, hey, it's time to do your annual review. Well, you just wrote me 3 months ago. Right. And we got some new options. So we're going to do your annual review 9 months early. So I'm coming out there this week. We're going to take a look at these options and you go back and you get them more coverage or better coverage. There's nothing wrong with that. I had somebody text me the other day and they were just like, how soon before you go back and rewrite somebody? And here's what I would say. But, he was asking because he's learned a lot more as he's been in this business for about 1.5 years now. And it was just like, well, how soon do you go back? And here's what I say. Keep learning, keep growing, keep gaining knowledge, keep plugging in, keep getting that on hands education. And what you need to do is when you're faced with a situation with a current client of yours that you can go back and help, whether it's adding more coverage or possibly even getting them something better than what they have, you're never wrong for doing whatever you can do to improve their situation. I'm not talking about I sold them a policy for $60 a month. 3 months later, I found out that this company is doing an extra bonus. So I'm just going to go rewrite that same with this new company, rewrite them a similar product, and it's still $60 a month. So they're not paying anything different because they're still the same age. But I'm just going to put it with this company so I can get these extra bonuses. That's for you, not for them. You're not improving their situation. You're getting yourself some bonus points. Okay. Don't do that. But any situation that you're faced with where you can improve their situation, then it's okay to go out and help them. It's okay to go out and get that better coverage in place. But this is one of the reasons why we do these annual reviews, is because you can follow up with all these clients that you've gathered in your first 6 months, 8 months, a year or so. Now you have a book of clients that you can go back to while you're still following up with new prospect, calling new leads, you're still running more appointments, but now you're starting to sprinkle in some of these annual reviews with these clients you wrote a year ago. And guys, you'll be shocked at how much changes in a year's time. People quit smoking. When you first wrote them a year ago, you had to go guaranteed issue because they had just had a heart attack, 11 months prior. Well, now they're 22, 24 months removed from that. So they're 2 full years removed from the heart attack. And so now you can get them better options instead of guaranteed issue. Like there's so, and then in their personal lives, like, you might have wrote them a little something and then their grandpappy died and left behind, nothing for his wife. And so she had to move out of the house because she couldn't keep the mortgage. And now they're thinking, well, crap, if that ever happens to me, I don't want my wife to have to move away from all the grandkids because she couldn't, pay for the house. So now you go back to that client that you sold a final expense policy to a year ago and you get them way more coverage. And during that time, they're like, yep, we need more because this just happened to my granddad. This just happened to my grandpappy. So now I need something else. You have no idea how much changes between the time you first sit with a client and the time you go out and do an annual review with them. So I would do these annual reviews and the beautiful thing about the CRM, it tells you right then and there who needs annual reviews, who you need to be following up with that you wrote about this time a year ago or 6 months ago or whatever. The average family is going to buy life insurance 7 different times throughout their life, 7 different times. And I'm telling you, if they like you and they trust you, you're going to be the one that they get it from those different times. But if you just go sling an app to sling an app, oh, I made a sale and I got some points to go on a boat. If that's all your mindset is, those people, when they need more coverage, guess what? They're not going to reach out to you because they didn't feel that you genuinely cared about them. And that's why I've said from day one, I preach it on the phone calls, on all the trainings. You've heard my story from day one. You have to genuinely care about this. Yes, we're in it to make money. We need to make money, but you have to genuinely care about these people that you're sitting with, and they have to feel that and know that. And when they do, they give you way more room for error. And I'm not saying you're going to screw them and not do right by them. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying they're going to give you time to reach out and get help. They're going to give you time to find out the answers to the questions that you don't know yet. In order to be able to help them, they're going to give you way more grace and leeway to help them because they trust and they know that you have their best interest at heart. That's what makes top insurance salespeople so good. Dave, I see you popping back up on here. I don't know if you're wanting to say something or if you're just showing your beautiful face again.
Both, actually.
All
But
right, sweet.
no, I agree with you 100%. Just wanted to add in to those of you guys, because I know there's a couple new agents on here. That's how we got good also, running the appointments. Like one of the things that Mark said, is getting on the phone, talking to your upline. We didn't know any of this going in, but we did enough appointments. We called our upline enough that we started learning all this stuff. We plugged into the trainings. One thing that I know that you talked about the CRM, Mark. Can you also talk about, I know we have the toolkit, maybe chime in a little bit on that, but one of the resources that we have that I think a lot of agents don't use is the grids, the final expense, the term grid. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I know when you started, you don't even have that, I don't think. We had the grids, and now they have all, like, the Alliance just has all these tools for us to win. Going back to, what to write, who to go with. Like, can you just touch in on a little bit of that, of the resource the Alliance provides?
Yes, absolutely. Good point. So when I say, hey, call your upline, call Nick, call Panda, call me, whatever, that is kind of especially for brand new agents. Like, we just want you to have that peace of mind. You're not out there on your own. You're not by yourself. You're not just thrown to the wolves and crap. You got to come back, and feed us all. Like, that's not what that's for. We want you to know, hey, worst case scenario, like, pick up the phone and call us. Like if you're brand new, we understand. We have all been there. Guess what? All of us on this call that are leaders on this call have at one point in time ran our first appointment, sat in our first home and was like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. We've all been there. We know what that feels like. So the reason I say call, if you're frozen, call, is because I want you to know, hey, you've got a lifeline. You've got resources there that are there to help you in the home, especially when you're brand new. What Dave's referring to here is the underwriting grids. So when you go onto your ARC, go to resources, AU, Advanced Alliance University resources. You're going to click on that. It's going to make you log in again. And then at the top, you're going to see another tab called resources. You click that one and you scroll down to underwriting grids. There's a term for larger products. There's a non-medical term underwriting grid, and there's a final expense underwriting grid. The beautiful thing about those grids, you need to have them. You need to have the URL, the link for those grids saved on your home screen. You need to have them saved on your phone, on your home screen, or on your tablet, or whatever you've got in the home. You need to have that saved on your home screen. So you can click it, click log in, and then boom, you're right there under the resources, and you can go to the grids. What those grids do is they break it down by just about every freaking condition that a client might have. And it'll say, right, my man, he's pulling it up right here. So you see this. So this is what he's gotten here by going under AU resources under the ARC. He's gone to the ARC, he's gone to resources and scrolled down to AU resources.
Sorry.
And then it brings him to this page. He's signed in, and now he's looking at the grids. Here are the grids for the final expense for the court, or for the final expense grid. And you see these different conditions that are listed here. If they've had an amputation, an aneurysm, do they have AFib, irregular heart rate, autism? And when you click on those, so look at AFib. So right here where Dave's showing AFib, you see CFG, their dignified choice, classic choice product. You can only get the select product, not the elite product. This is final expense. You can get the select rate, not the elite rate, if they've ever been diagnosed with AFib. But then you look at Royal Arcanum. Now that's a graded one. We're not talking about that one right now. So pause right there, Dave. So if you look at Americo Eagle Premier, okay, look at Americo Eagle Premier. You see it says NA not available, and you look over to the right, it says okay. So if anybody has had AFib diagnosed with, some carriers are going to say, nope, you got to go on a 2-year wait. Americo says, hey, with our final expense product, we don't ask about that. We don't care. If they've got AFib, they can be AFib, Fib A, we don't care. Whatever fibbing they're doing, we'll take them right there. Americo's an option. CVS, look at their final expense product. Not available because they don't care. They don't ask about it. So somebody's got AFib, Americo, CVS. Now I'm looking at those options. These grids are incredible for new agents when you're looking at different conditions: bipolar, cerebral palsy, chronic cough. Never had to deal with that. Congestive heart failure. So you see all these different conditions that people have, and it tells you right then and there which company would consider looking at them, which company would decline them. It's all right there for you. Utilize the grids. utilize the grids. And as you start to become somewhat seasoned, you've done 10, 12, 15 appointments, start utilizing the grids. Okay. It'll help you learn faster. And it also frees up time for your upline, for your mentors to still be able to take in phone calls from brand new people that are sitting in the home with the deer in the headlights look. I'm not by any means suggesting don't call us unless you've looked at the grid. That's not what I'm saying. If you've been out running 20 plus appointments, you should really start looking at the grid before you call us. Like, please just work with us. We're putting a ton of people in, got a lot of new people coming on. We will take your phone call. We will help. Okay. Last ditch or last resort. If you need us, call us, please, please, please. I'm not trying to discourage anybody from calling. What I am saying is these grids are also here to help you maximize the resources out there so that you can help these families. And inevitably, sometimes you're going to be sitting in a home where there's no cell service. If you live out here in the sticks, like I do in northern Greenville County, I go back up in some hollers and they ain't got no cell service or no Wi-Fi, or they ain't got the Google or nothing. And I'm just telling you, sometimes I don't have people that I can call. If they do have Wi-Fi, hook on their Wi-Fi and look up the grid. If they don't, try and call. If they don't, go back, get some service, call us and go back. But the point being is these grids are designed, and these are just some of the advanced resources that we've developed over the last 5, 6, 7 years so that you have access to these where you can look up and see if my client is diagnosed with this condition or has this condition, which carriers would be a quick or a likely option for them, and which ones do I not even look at because it's not an option.
And just real quick, Hutch, one thing that I also have up personally is I also have the height and weight chart up. So all these windows, guys, I have them up all ready to go. Like I have my ARC, I have my my insurance email. When I'm doing signatures, I have all the grids up. And then I also have the toolkit that the Alliance has come out with. But like Mike said, like Mark said, in the beginning, we all had Mark as a resource, but because our team grew so fast, it got to the point where Mark would tell us like, hey, check the grid. And I'm glad that he told us this because it got us to get really good at knowing and you guys are going to learn all this. Eventually it's going to be like, you guys are just going to learn it so much that someone has diabetes, insulin, at this age, you're going to know exactly what carrier to write with them with. Okay.
And Dave, here's a tip on that. I'm glad you're saying this, and I'll be honest with you. Like I was thinking products 101, and I guess, we're going to do some 201 too, but I'm glad you're bringing this up because here's another thing. Like the people that want it, the people that are like, hey, I want to go out and kill this thing. I want to crush it. I want to get as good as quick as I can at this. They're looking at these grids at 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night instead of catching up on their shows or watching, Yellowstone or America's Got Talent or what. I'm not saying those shows are bad, obviously, but agents that just like, oh, I'm in the home and I need help. What do I do? Like, do yourself a favor and do some of this legwork. Like, while you're scroll through the grid on your phone, I don't care if you're watching a show, scroll through the grid on your phone and be like, what if I have a 65-year-old person and they've got diabetes? What are my options? What if I have a 55-year-old person and he just got diagnosed with congestive heart failure? What if I have a 75-year-old lady and she can't remember her grandkids because she's got dementia or Alzheimer's? What are my options? And look on the grid. Look, because you know what? All three of those cases are situations in my mind that I'm thinking specifically of that are clients of mine that I've run across. And if you'll look, if you'll think of it this way, say, hey, my mother, my grandmother, she's in the hospital or she's in a nursing home because she just got diagnosed with stage 3, whatever, Alzheimer's, and her husband can't take care of her anymore. So now she's in a nursing home and he's just filled out a lead asking for life insurance. What are my options? What am I looking like? Use your grandparents, use your parents, use people that have some health issues, and think of, hey, if they asked me, Dave, what options do you have for me now that you have a life insurance license? Like, utilize those grids and look at them and visualize the situation that you're talking about, that's your family. Because guess what? If it's not your family, it's somebody else's family, and it's another lead that you're going to sit on. So, Dave, I'm glad you brought that up about the grids. Utilize those grids. They're there for you, and they're not just able to log in while you're sitting in a client's home. They're there for you to access at any time. And if you'll just do small things like that, like call it homework, call it whatever, if you'll just do little things like that where you're plugging in, you're learning, you're processing and storing information away, because inevitably you're going to come across that stuff and you're going to need to know how to do it. So thanks for bringing that up.
Yep. A perfect example would be, guys, like my mom, she has diabetes. So I actually got her a policy, but just when I started, I practiced on my mom because she had a lot of medicines that she was taking. And that's the stuff and the extra legwork that will make you, more successful when you're out there in the field. And it got to the point where, I mean, now it's like if I run into someone that had the same medicines my mom was taking, I know exactly who to write them with. You know what I mean?
Bingo.
So, but good stuff, Mark. If you want to just take a couple more minutes, just wrap it up, and then I'll talk about the event in Atlanta, and then we'll go from there, bud.
Yep, I'm doing final 30 seconds right here. So, so we've talked about, hey, if somebody's not sure what they're looking for, what their options might be, they're just looking to you for guidance and stuff. If they're under the age of 60, I'm looking at term and then going towards final expense type of products if need be. Obviously, if their health is really, really bad, like there's just, they're not going to get level coverage, then we have our guaranteed issue products as our catch-all. Typically, if they're over, I would say 62, 63, let me hit this real quick. The term products with Foresters, you can convert within 2 years, or I'm sorry, right at 2 years. Right after 2 years of them having a term product, you can convert it to a permanent product and you get paid all over again. Mutual of Omaha, if you convert a term policy, it has to be at least 5 years that it's been in place before you can convert it and get paid full comp on it all over again. So all my conversions for most carriers have to be done by, general rule of thumb is 65. So if I've got Foresters and I've got a 61-year-old client, I'll get them a term policy because I can still convert over 2 years later, but they're still under 65. If I've got a 65-year-old and older, I'm generally not thinking term unless they specifically say, hey, I need 10-year term, I need 15-year term to cover this loan I just took out or to be paid off in 10 or 15 years. I need this covered. I just need a 10, 15-year term. Then fine, get them a term. They're not thinking they need anything permanent, so we're not worried about permanent. But if they're over the age of 65 or 63, really, and because of conversion reasons, if they're over the age of 63 and they're in good health and they're just looking for as much coverage as they can get, I'm not going term. I'm looking at more like the IUL Express from Moo. I'm looking at the Smart UL from Foresters. I'm looking at a universal life type product. I'm making sure I illustrate it right so that it'll be there when they need it for the rest of their life. It's a permanent policy and it's a good alternative. It's a cheaper alternative to whole life. So the biggest factors is age. Under the age of 60, I'm really showing them term unless they know, no, I want this or I'm looking for this elsewhere. Over 62, 63, if they're in good health and wanting something more permanent, then I'm looking at universal life of some sort. And then if anything over the age of really, at any age really, with some health issues, some pretty major health issues, final expense is what they're eligible for. But the good news is when we've got all these companies, I legit, I've had 2 cases, clients both over the age of 80. One wanted 100,000 in coverage. The other one wanted 150,000 in coverage. They were adamant that's what they wanted for permanent coverage. There's not a permanent universal life policy out there that's going to get that somebody non-medical. And we weren't going fully underwritten at those ages. So what I did was I stacked final expense policies. 25,000 from this company, 40 from this one, 35 from this one, 20 from this one, to get them the 100 that they wanted and needed. Premiums were $1,500 a month, $1,200 a month. Great paydays, but they could afford it, and that's what they wanted. So you can stack policies from different companies to make sure that they've got the coverage that they need if you're in a situation where they're not going to qualify for term. And then kind of as our catch-all is the guaranteed issue, the final, no health questions, no nothing, just guaranteed issue product. This is what they're eligible for because they have condition X. We have 2 or 3 companies that offer those kind of products. Point being is, I don't care if somebody's 14 days old as a brand new infant. I don't care if it's a 90-year-old great-great-grandmother. We have the best resources on the planet to help these people with their life insurance needs. They're going to get it from somebody. Let them get it from the person that cares about them the most, is not showing up trying to sell them something. Back to you, Panda.
Woo! Hope you guys took notes on that. Mark, you are the man. I remember one of the first videos that we had you do was about how to be a different agent, being just a different person overall than all the other life insurance agents that try to come and sell these people. I mean, because of that, bro, like it changed the way when I go to these homes, I try to stand out as much as I can. You put these people first, you really care about these people, you get them to like you. Everything else comes into play. You can mess up 100 times. You can call 100 people. They will, as long as they like you and you're different from every other agent, you know, guys, you're going to learn as you go into more homes. And all this stuff that Mark's talking about, it seems like he just knows everything, but I mean, he's been in it for over 10 years, right, Mark? So he has experience. He did the work, you know, now he's teaching it to us. Guys, we'll be there also. For us, I feel like it's going to be a lot quicker because we got a teacher like Mark, and we got the resources of the Alliance. That's why Alliance just stands out above any other IMO, because we have the carriers, we've got the resources, we got the leadership telling you guys are in the right place at the right time. And the last thing I'll cover is we have a summit, Legacy Life, first time summit. It's going to be in the Atlanta, Georgia area. If you guys haven't heard or haven't seen the link to the tickets, it's on the Legacy Life. It's pinned up. But we got the very best, Mr. Mark Hutcheson. We also got Mike Guerra, Nick Greco. They hit ranks pretty quick within the company. You know, they moved up. They literally put a lot of this together for us so we can get a fast start, get our agents going pretty fast. But this summit is going to be the first one that our group does. We also have the assist of Mr. Marcus Richardson, who's also a top producer within the company. He is one of the best at dialing, in my opinion. Mark's going to teach about in the home, I believe, and sales. It's just going to be a lot of stuff that us as agents need to listen to and be around. I mean, we're going to be around Mark. We're going to be around Marcus. You're going to meet these guys. And I'm telling you, law of attraction. All right. You're around four people that love to drink and party. You're going to be the fifth. You're around four people that are killer at sales. You're going to be the fifth. And these guys that we have training are the guys you want to be around, especially if you want to end the last quarter of the year with a bang. You want to hit your goals. You're almost there. Go to this event. You're going to hit them. You're going to qualify for Alaska. And I'm telling you, you're going to be on the leaderboards here soon. So make sure you get registered to the event. It's going to happen on Labor Day weekend, September 1st to the 3rd. We also have a link for hotel rooms that you can book at a discounted rate, group rate that we got. But I'm telling you, it's right around the corner. Get your flights, get your hotels. I got my flights already. The event is going to be crazy. Not only that, because you're also going to party with us. So I know I use that analogy about being around four studs in sales. Well, you're also going to be around four people that love to have fun. And that's us, me, Mark, Dan, you know, Marcus and Nick, and we're going to have a good time. Bring the family to the resort. It's family friendly. So we try to make it so that you can bring your families for this Labor Day weekend. You don't have to be gone, you know, for the whole weekend from your family. Bring them along. Let us meet them. Let us hang out with them. I'm going to be there. Mark's going to be there. Top leaders of Legacy Life are going to be there. Guys, we cannot wait. Make sure you get registered September 1st through the 3rd. We got an all-star lineup. Let's end 2023 with a bang so that 2024, you can just have an absolutely incredible year. Let's go. Good night, guys. Thanks, Mark. You're the man, bro. Peace out.
Gotta go. Glass is empty.
Refill. Later, buddy.